Life is full of encounters that seem purposeful, although we often feel bitter when those who meant so much to us failed to appreciate us as we deserved. Love, in its many forms, becomes a mirror into which we project our deepest emotions. However, when we encounter rejection or indifference, a question almost inevitably arises: how can I get that person who failed to appreciate me to become obsessed with me? Interestingly, one of the most effective ways to awaken interest in someone who failed to appreciate you is precisely to let go of the need for them to do so. This is the art of detachment, a concept Jung explored deeply in his studies of the unconscious. Detachment doesn't imply indifference. Rather, it's a way of releasing the emotional burden we place on our expectations of others. By letting go of our projections and desires for another person, we allow energy to flow unrestricted, thus creating space for our authenticity to manifest. Detachment doesn't mean that we stop loving or caring, but rather that we stop basing our self-worth and happiness on the approval or recognition of others. This act of letting go is profoundly liberating. Often, when we get caught up in the need to be valued, we fall into a cycle of anxiety and frustration. We want others to see us, to acknowledge us, but by clinging to that need, we build a barrier between us and the other person. In contrast, detachment removes that barrier. By practicing it, we send an energetic message that says, "I am complete in myself. I don't need your validation to feel valuable." This message, though subtle, can have a profound effect on how others perceive you. By emotionally distancing yourself from that person, you stop nurturing a relationship of energetic dependency. And it is precisely there that an unexpected change occurs. By letting go, you also free them. In that void that remains, the possibility opens up for their perception of you to transform. Obsession isn't born from the effort to be seen, but from the mystery you emanate when you are emotionally independent. Mystery, coupled with that emotional independence, creates a magnetic attraction that is difficult to resist. That's when the other person begins to see you through different eyes, because they no longer feel the weight of your expectations, but rather perceive the appeal of someone at peace with themselves. That energy is deeply seductive. Ultimately, this process has more to do with your personal transformation than with the other person's. By recovering your inner power, you become someone who doesn't need validation to feel whole. And, paradoxically, this is what makes others want to be around you. Within Jungian philosophy, the self represents psychic wholeness, who we truly are beyond the ego and appearances. It is the deepest core of our psyche, where all aspects of our personality converge, both conscious and unconscious. When someone doesn't value us, we often interpret it as a direct attack on ourself. But what's really being hurt is our ego, that part of us that seeks external validation and recognition. The ego can easily be affected by rejection or indifference. We feel small, irrelevant, or even invisible. And this wound to the ego is often misinterpreted as a sign that we're not worthy enough. What's really happening is that we've forgotten who we are at the deepest core of our essence. When we allow our worth to depend on how others perceive us, we lose touch with our true selves. And that's where the key to transforming that perception and, with it, the impact we have on others lies. Recovering our intrinsic worth is not just a mental exercise, but a profound energetic transformation. When we reconnect with ourselves and remember that our value doesn't depend on anyone else, our energy shifts. And this shift is immediately reflected in the way others perceive us. When someone doesn't value us, they're actually reacting to how we value ourselves internally. Jung pointed out that projections play a crucial role in our relationships. If you're not aligned with yourself, others will sense that disconnect, and even if they're not aware of it, they won't be able to fully appreciate you. Therefore, if you want that person who didn't value you to become obsessed with you, the first step is to heal your relationship with yourself. This isn't superficial work. It requires a process of radical self-acceptance, of confronting your shadows, and reconciling with all the parts of you. The more you recognize and accept yourself in your entirety, the more that security will be projected in every one of your interactions. People are very sensitive to authenticity, even if they aren't always aware of it. Jung said that when we are aligned with ourself, we radiate an energy of authenticity and power that is undeniably attractive. It's not about trying to impress, but about being deeply at peace with yourself. One of the fundamental principles of Jungian psychology is that the unconscious plays an essential role in our relationships. Often, the more we try to force or attract attention, the further we distance ourselves from the person we want to attract. This happens because the unconscious resists being manipulated by the ego. Jung maintained that the unconscious is autonomous and responds to forces beyond conscious control. When we deliberately try to manipulate our relationships, we create a tension that goes against the free nature of the unconscious. By trying to force a connection, we fall into the trap of letting the ego direct our interactions. And this approach, besides being exhausting, creates energetic blockages that others perceive, even without consciously knowing it. Instead, we must allow the unconscious to work in our favor. By letting go of control, we allow things to flow naturally. In this space of freedom, others can feel attracted without needing to be pushed. Instead of obsessively seeking someone's attention, cultivate mystery. Jung believed that by immersing ourselves in the unconscious, we awaken a natural magnetism that draws others to us. This magnetism comes from authenticity, from the fact that you're not trying to be something you're not. When you stop striving to impress, you begin to project a pure and mysterious energy. That energy becomes a magnet for the curiosity and interest of others. By focusing on your own dreams, goals, and desires, without obsessing over others, you begin to radiate an irresistible energy. People are attracted to those who have purpose and direction in their lives. This sense of purpose isn't born from a search for external validation, but from a genuine desire for personal growth. When you focus on your own evolution and what you're passionate about, you automatically become more interesting to others. The paradox is that by stopping chasing attention, you begin to attract it. The unconscious responds to authenticity, not manipulation. From Jung's perspective, much of what we experience in our relationships is projection. We see in others what we haven't yet recognized in ourselves. When someone doesn't appreciate us or rejects us, we feel a wound, but that wound often stems from our own perception of inadequacy. The lack of external recognition can be connected to our unconscious self-image. If there are insecurities, fears, or unintegrated aspects of our psyche, this will influence how others perceive us. Getting someone who didn't value you to become obsessed with you isn't about manipulation or superficial power games. It's an inner journey, a process of self-knowledge and healing. Jung said that the real work happens in the shadows, where our unresolved wounds reside. By integrating these denied parts of ourselves, something is transformed in our energy. We become more whole, and from that state of wholeness, others can't help but feel a change in how they see us. By changing your internal perception and healing your wounds, you bring about a change that can also alter the way others perceive you. Relationships are mirrors, and by transforming your relationship with yourself, you will inevitably change your connections with others. Instead of desperately seeking external validation, you begin to project a sense of internal worth. This new energy is magnetic, because you are no longer trapped in the cycle of seeking outside what you can only find within. Jung would say that obsession begins not with the other, but with the inner work we do. By recognizing our projections and ceasing to depend on external approval, we free ourselves from that need. And that liberation creates a new space for the other to see us differently. The person who previously failed to appreciate you will now be drawn to the energy of someone who has transformed from within. In many mythical tales, the hero returns transformed after an internal journey. This journey is not only about facing external challenges, but also about confronting one's shadows and being reborn as a more authentic version of oneself. In Jungian psychology, this journey represents individuation, the process of becoming who you truly are. During this process, masks, insecurities, and projections are left behind to emerge with a renewed awareness of oneself. By rising above past hurts and projections, you become someone new, and the person who previously didn't value you can't help but notice the change. This is the key to generating obsession, not through games or manipulation, but through authentic transformation. That person is now facing a different reality. You are no longer who you used to be, and this evolution is impossible to ignore. By becoming your most authentic and powerful version, you become a reflection of what that person lost. And that loss often becomes a source of obsession. The contrast between your old self and who you are now awakens in them a belated recognition of your worth. And when something is perceived as unattainable, it becomes even more irresistible. Ultimately, instead of focusing on how to obsess someone, Focus on cultivating conscious love for yourself and others. Carl Jung believed that real love is not born out of need, but out of choice. Loving consciously frees both the other and yourself from the cycle of emotional dependency. True power lies in your ability to love without expecting anything in return, in freeing yourself from the fear of rejection and finding fulfillment on your own path of evolution. When you achieve this, you not only become magnetic to others, but you also align yourself with your deepest purpose.